Hello and welcome everybody to the 2023 Poker Chip Buying Guide. Today we're going to talk a little bit about some different segments. At the end I'm going to have a little showcase, just showing some ideas to get you started. You can go to these different websites, which I'm going to list at the end of the video here, and look through their inventory, see what jumps out at you. And ultimately it's your opinion that matters more than mine. By way of introduction, there's no entry point into poker chips. You can buy the most expensive set to start. The reason why you want to be cautious is because I've personally been in contact with people who email me, people I meet in person, and they tell me, I've had a couple of instances where they tell me about their failed home game. Well, it's just going to be friends. I trust all of them, but then they don't trust each other, and then there's allegations of cheating, and then what rules are we playing by, and you have to print out rules, and then they want you to sign a contract, and then it turns into this big kerfuffle, and they're just like, we're going to stop this game. But they invested like $2,000 into this poker game. They bought a nice table. They bought poker chips. They bought all this stuff. And then now it's just like, oh, I'm not going to have my poker game because it's too much trouble. Most people I talk to, their home game isn't a problem. But occasionally you find people, and I don't know how many of them are coming out of the woodwork to find me saying, hey, it didn't work. But there are instances where home games just don't work. And so you might not want to drop tons of money if you're not familiar with your home poker game. So I can understand, if you want to enter at any point you want. The cheap chips, the mid-tier chips, are kind of the higher-end premium chips. That said, let's dive into it and get the review table set up, and we'll do some poker chip discussion with individual different segments of poker chips, as well as playing a little hand of Texas Hold'em at the end. We're going to start out with what I consider, the less expensive, because they are less expensive than some of these other designs, are just what I kind of consider like retail versions. Like these interlocking chips. I cannot find these anywhere except for the dollar store. And sometimes I've seen these at the dollar store just like in little bags, just like $1 for a little bag of like these interlocking chips. Rock on, all right? You're in college. It's funny because I had a college individual contact me. He or she, I'm not exactly sure. They contacted me and were like, we're going to play, a certain type of poker where you exchange articles of clothing. And what kind of chips should I get? My first response is, well, wait a second. If you're playing for articles of clothing, why do you need chips? So obviously they were planning on starting out a game with chips and then upping the ante. Do you see what I can see what they're onto? I get it. I went to college. So, if you're just going to throw, and it was basically like a throwaway set. Yeah, after tonight, we're just going to throw these away. All right. Well, I don't encourage you to just waste things, but this is the prime category for that. I mean, why would you buy something more expensive just to throw it away? Go to the dollar store, see if you can find some cheap chips and just use those to lead into whatever college kids do these days, trigonometry, partial differential equations, wherever the party leads, And then there are these dice chips. These are sold at Walmart, Target. They call them dice chips because there's a dice mold here. You can see the dice around the edges. They don't actually sell, in Walmart, it doesn't say dice chips, it just says poker set, and usually it'll be like premium poker set, when they're actually pretty cheap chips. And these are fine as well. People complain, well, there are no denominations on here, just get a Sharpie and just write the denomination on here. And you can just do it with like a few of them, and then put them off to the side. So when people are like, what are the blacks worth? They can just look off to the little index and be like, oh, it's 100. What's the one worth? Or what's the white one worth? 1? All right, now we know. These I like more than dice chips, or actually because there's a spot right here where you can write denominations. It makes it super easy. These are kind of harder to find. I've seen these at the big box stores like Target and Walmart occasionally, and sometimes grocery stores. You just find them around. I don't know. If you see some and you want some cheap chips, these might work for you. Just these bicycle plastic chips. These are metal slugged. These are not. All right. You can have a set of these for around 30, like a 300 piece set for around $30 plus or minus, depending on where you live, taxes, all that. And these a little bit more expensive, but still kind of in that price range from what I've seen. Now let's talk about some metal slug ABS chips. We're going to throw ceramic chips in here, China clays. All right. So to represent the metal slug chip, again, very similar in the chip design as a dice chip. These, I believe, I purchased from Discount Poker Shop. There are lots of good vendors out there. But, this is a ABS chip, so very durable with a metal slug. Okay, I've never been able to break these. They prove to be very durable. There is a label on here that, doesn't come off in normal use, but you can take like a pocket knife or an X-Acto knife or a sledgehammer and, you can get this off. The sledgehammer was a joke because the chip would break, so it is really easy to peel off. You'll see that here in a second. So, this just represents a huge variety, and this is probably the largest segment that's available, and, a lot of people are interested in something like this. They have a huge variety of different looks and designs. So metal slug ABS chips. And then China clays. These do not have a metal slug, but they do have a nice texture to them that feels a lot more like a Las Vegas Strip Paulson casino chip. And so they do have kind of a good feel. People complain about the smell, which I don't have the keenest sense of smell, so it doesn't really bother me. And these aren't what I consider kid-friendly because they have in the past proven to be kind of brittle. Like these, I can crank on these as hard as I want all day long, and I won't be able to break them with my fingers. Whereas a China clay, because it's, not metal slugged, sometimes if you crank on these just right, they can break. You can see here, and here are the labels. It's considered a permanent adhesive, but if the chip breaks, it's going to come off. And like I said, if you scrape it off with a knife or something, it'll come off. So you can imagine a child trying to bite into this. It might be a choking hazard. I have children, so I think about that a lot. You can tell just by the way I talk about it. So yeah, just something to consider. And another one, which is really starting to push the premium price range, but maybe it bridges the gap here. That's why I saved it for last. Are ceramic chips. I buy ceramic chips. One of my favorite places is BR Pro Poker. Like I said, I pay for all these chips myself. They don't even give me a discount. I just pay the going rates for these. And I love the BR Pro Poker ceramics. There are other places, Sunfly, I think they sell their chips through the Apollo On website. I remember shipping is where they make all their money, so brace for that when you're looking at buying something there. Just expect that as a cost of acquiring the chip. Ceramics are lovely. They're very durable. They're not actually made out of like China ceramic, like glass. They are just a really hard plastic. Let's see if I can find another. Here's a Tiki King ceramic. This is one of my family favorites. I'll put a picture in the showcase of a lot of ceramics that I really like, but you can hear how bright these sound compared to the metal slug ABS chips. Kind of give you an idea of some sounds there. All right, and then finally for stock chips, the premium stock chip that's available today are classic poker chips. And even the stock designs, like the Atlantic Club right here, often have wait times where if you're going to put in a large order, they're going to have to make more for you. These are all made, lots of times they're made to order. Key West is another brand where you can get classic poker chips. You can go, just search for Key West Resort and Casino and buy some there. Absolutely lovely. These have a really nice feel to them. Lots of casino chips in the old days, and my understanding is some card rooms today still use classic poker chips to manufacture their chips. Lovely, lovely chips. They wear beautifully. You'll get, the nice casino wear around the edges. They shuffle well. They have a good weight to them. There is some brass powder inserted in here for weight. So they have a nice weight and feel to them. And you can choose from a variety of different molds. Here's an H mold and the horse mold. So by way of discussion, when you put in orders for these, especially if it's a custom order, they actually produce all their orders on a certain mold, and then they move on to the next mold, and then do all those. So there can be a weight involved with classic poker chips, but in my opinion, absolutely worth it. So that's kind of the different tiers, and again, in the showcase at the end, I'll have lots of pictures to give you guys some inspiration. And ultimately, it's your opinion that matters most, not mine. So you can make those decisions. Now, let's move into the other category. If you want, something other than maybe like a stock retail design, we can move into used casino chips. Used casino chips are a legitimate way to get a whole bunch of chips that feel really good. They feel like casino chips because they are casino chips. be advised. My understanding is that the old Paulson chips, Paulson casino chips, contain lead. Again, if you're sensitive to that, if you have children, you may want to steer clear. It's up to you, but just be advised that Paulson chips, and I don't even know their new recipe, nobody does, so their new chips might contain a tiny bit of lead, not sure, so just be advised. When you're using a casino chip, there's that, a Paulson casino chip, there's that risk. Here's some Bud Jones casino chips. Bud Jones are plastic. I think these actually have a little brass weight here underneath the label. These might. They have a good weight to them. They're just a kind of a high quality plastic, casino quality plastic chip. I've also seen card rooms use Metal Slug. Where are my Metal Slug? Like Metal Slug ABS chips with their logo, on the label. So, you might find some, used card room like ABS chips on the used market. Another option are custom chips. So here are some ceramic customs that I had made. These are just my Hobbyphilic set. We played with these a few weeks ago with family. We didn't gamble. We just wanted, to play with some chips. And so they were like, let's play some pretend poker. And so we did, and it was fun. Notice there's no dollar denominations around here. That was pointed out because little kids were like, are you gambling? We're like, no, look, see, there's no denominations on here. We're playing for points. And we were very careful about that. I raise you 100 points. I raise you 200 points. I'm going to play at 2,000 points, Kids. We have a kid. My life is, it seems like my life is built around kids sometimes. Custom chips. You can get them, you can get Metal Slug ABS chips, custom. You can get China Clay chip labels, custom. There are lots of ways to customize chips. So that's a viable option. Another option that I want to discuss here are group buys. I'm not going to include group buys in my showcase because they change all the time. So here's I bought some Tangiers. I bought a Tangiers chipset from a group buy years ago, and I love the idea of Tangiers. Is it the casino movie where the casino was named Tangiers, I believe? Either way, this is just such a cool chip, and this is made by Sunfly, and it was a group buy. Basically, the idea behind a group buy is if, you buy tons and tons of chips, you get them at a discount because you're not paying but you're splitting the cost of shipping, and they will lower the rate if you order, tens of thousands of them. And so it's a great way to get into some nice chips for cheap. And how it works is just on a place like pokerchipforum.com. They are a patron, full disclosure. They design a chip, and then everybody who's interested in that design just, they compile out, they put all their money together. There's a name for that. It's left me. They take all their money, and then they make the purchase. Then the company will ship it to one person. That person will distribute it to everybody who participated in the group buy. And like I said, I've had great luck with those. There are people who are more experienced at running those than others. And you'll see them on the forums, and just do your research, find a good group buy, and you can get into some nice chips. Some of the, Sunfly is a popular place to do that. I've seen it through Matsui and other places. BR Pro Poker for ceramics. Like they'll have the card mold, or this is the diamond mold. I have it here. Here, I have a card mold. And they'll just make a group buy based off of these. These are some Sunfly chips that are stock. I'll put these in the showcase. Card, mold, diamond mold. And they're great. I like group buys. So that's another way you can get into chips for cheap. Used casino chips, used chips, custom chips, group buys. Lots of interesting ways to get into a fun set of chips. Again, you're going to have to design your own custom chips, so it's not going to be included in the showcase. You can go look on pokerchipforum.com if you want to see other people's customs. Maybe that will inspire you. Other than that, I think we're ready to move on to playing a hand, and I want to use casino chips when at all possible to play a hand. All right, so we are going to use some Chem playing cards. Let's use the black set. So this is the gold set, which we've used before, but we're going to use the black set today with our cut card, dealer button right here, and then cut card. All right, so I'm just going to shuffle, do a little weave shuffle here. And if you're at home, I'd encourage you to get your own deck. Deal yourself 2 cards. You know, we're not playing for anything here. Obviously, this is YouTube, so there's no nothing at stake here. We might have the exact same hand. In fact, let me know if you have the exact same hand as one of these hands on the table. Card this. Somebody's supposed to cut it and then whatever. I'm going to try to mop up some of this dust, which gets everywhere. It really shows through on this mat. All right, so we're dealt. No, we're not dealt. I need to deal Jane Doe in and myself. Let me have a quick peek here and move on to the flop. Like I said, there are no betting cycles, nothing here. This is just purely for entertainment. See how the chips are doing. And we river a 7. I thought I had a jack. It's funny, I've been focused on presenting. Yep, I do have a jack and an 8. And I beat Jane. No! She had the 2. Are you kidding me? Who stays in with the 2? Attend? It's all right. I'm not upset. I'm not upset. I don't run bad against her. It's all right. I'm just going to quickly move on to the showcase that everybody wants to see, and I'm not going to complain anymore about how lucky Jane Doe is.